Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing some of the new drugstore makeup products which I have already shown you in some of my past haul videos. Now I have already been testing out these makeup products. I already know how they perform onto my skin, but yes, I really wanted you also to know how these products perform because some of the recommendations have come from your end. And yes, before you end up investing in any of the makeup products, do watch the complete review so that you have a better understanding on every single product. So without rambling too much, let's get started. For today's look, I'm wearing a lipstick by Sugar Cosmetic Matte as Hell Crayon in the shade 21 Rose Tailor. To make the video simple, shorter as well as better to understand, I did record all the application and all the talking I've done during the application as well. So before I give you my final thoughts and how I feel about every single product, why don't you straight up jump onto the application and know a little more about the product as well as have a little better understanding how the product performs onto my skin. To save some time, I've already done my priming and my concealing. Let's move on to the first product which I really want to try. Basically, I've already been using it. It's just that I wanted to show you how the product performs. So if you remember watching my some hauls in the past, I've happened to buy a new foundation. It's the Flower Beauty Light Illusion All Day Wear SPF 18 Sunscreen Foundation. Now, a lot of you love this foundation. A lot of you have recommended me, why don't you try the Flower Beauty foundation? Now, frankly speaking, the toughest part here with the foundation was to pick up the right shade. And I still feel this is not the right shade for me. It gets a little too cool for my liking, but I have still been wearing this foundation because I want it. I like it on my skin. Now let's get on to the application and then simultaneously we'll talk through. So I've taken like a good amount of foundation because I am looking for a nice coverage but not too much of like cakiness. Now let's get into the application. Now you can see one side of my face with foundation, other side of my face without foundation, and you can tell that I have a nice sheer coverage foundation going on. It is definitely not a full coverage foundation. I would not even call this foundation as a medium coverage foundation. It is more of a dewy finish, more of your skin-like foundation. So if you are looking for a foundation which is more skin-like, doesn't have too much of coverage, doesn't make you feel heavy, again a foundation to look into. Another one thing which you will notice with the product that compared to any other foundation of yours, here you need a little extra foundation. I would say double the quantity of what I use generally with other foundations because I'm not getting that coverage to build up. I am adding more product. There I have my full face of foundation on. Now if you see the shade, it is more on an olive tone. It has a little warm, but I still feel because of olive, the foundation turns out to be little cooler on my skin, which I personally don't enjoy. The second thing about the foundation is that it is a sheer foundation. It is not even going to give you a medium coverage. It is just going to give you a sheer coverage. And since it has SPF, the foundation feels more of your dewy foundation, but when you touch it, you don't feel sticky. That's a good part because we really don't want our foundation to be sticky, and that's how you start feeling heavy. Can you layer this foundation? You can, but after 2 layers, I would recommend not to put additional layer because then you may start feeling a little heavy on the skin. After 5 to 6 hours of application of this foundation, you may feel the foundation will start creasing underneath your eyes and around your mouth area. It starts to crack a bit because of the texture of the foundation like that. So what I'll do first, I'll now set up my face because I don't want my foundation to crease faster. So I'll use another new product which is Into My Vanity by L'Oreal. So for setting up the face, I'm using this new compact powder which is apt for this video as well as for the weather as well. Is the L'Oreal Infallible Oil Killer High Coverage Powder. and this is something like this. I have bought this powder into, I think, the Nykaa Pink Friday sale, and I couldn't use it because of the weather. So I really don't want to make my skin more dry in winter, so I thought I will try this product in mostly summer or little humid weather. So yes, today is the day we dig into this powder and set our face. So as the brand claims that this is a more of a powder which is gonna give you a good coverage also. So if you're wearing a foundation like this, and if you layer your face with this kind of a powder, it is definitely going to add a little bit of more coverage to your base. So we'll just first start placing the powder. Now when you're using powders like this, do not brush immediately. Maybe just do this so that you deposit a lot of product onto the skin. That's how you're going to achieve that coverage. And now you can instantly see how my skin has completely mattified because of the L'Oreal Infallible powder. It, as the name says, it is an oil killer powder. It is. If you are a combination to oily skin and if you need something like this, then definitely L'Oreal has come out with a product like that, which can give you a nice sheer to medium coverage as well, control the sebum production onto your skin. So yes, I really like the finish of the powder, but something which I have tried in winters and I did not like it because it ends up drying my skin more. So avoid using powders like this in your winters. But other than that, summers are already मतलब approaching. Delhi में तो मुझे थोड़ी बहुत feel हो रही है. So this is the right time you end up investing in a powder like this. Now let's move on to the next step and try some more new makeup products. To look a little pleasant, I happen to do my eyebrows quickly so that I look a little more put together. Now for today's look, I thought why not try a new bronzer, and I was tell you I have like 3 new bronzers to try. One of them I'm going to show you today, and this is drugstore, so I thought why not show you something more inexpensive and good. Though I have not used this bronzer abhi tak ek baar bhi, this is like the first time I'll be using it, is the Rimmel London Natural Bronzer. Now I already have talked about Rimmel bronzer in the past, but that product is already finished. It stopped performing onto my skin, so I had to restock with the new one, and Rimmel had the new version altogether. So this costed me 540 का है ये, but मुझे ये 400 something में मिला था. Now let's get into some application. The shade I happen to pick up for my skin is 003. They have a 004 as well. So if you're someone who is deep dark skin tone, you have a bronzer for yourself. Now I pick up my favorite brush, the Rene Cosmetic brush, and I'm going to dig into the bronzer. Now this is a complete matte bronzer and it is definitely a lot pigmented. So I'm just going to move a little excess and then get to application. Wow, I just love how this bronzer has blended onto my skin, and frankly speaking, this bronzer has a nice cool tone gray going on. So if you're someone who wants to have like a cooler tone bronzer which has grays, which can even give you a little bit of dimension, then I feel this is one of the good shades, and I really like the formula on this one. Now let's move on to some blush. Before I get into further talking, I am filming today's video in natural light, and suddenly the sun decides to go away. Suddenly it will come in between, so I'm just letting you know in advance, but I do feel that you can still have a nice visibility. Now for the bronzer, I have a new product by Manish Malhotra, the MYGLAMM Manish Malhotra Illuminating Blush and Highlight Duo. Though I'm not a person who likes to put an illuminating blush directly onto my skin, but there are very specific and very few ones I love, and I have high expectation with this one. Though I have a new highlighter also with me, but maybe we'll just go with this palette today. So I'm going to be using the blush onto my skin using my favorite brush. So I'm going to go directly into the pan and get to application. You see, my blush has a nice glow happening. You may not see the pigment though on the camera because camera आधा makeup खा जाता है basically. But in person, I can definitely see a nice soft pigment going on. It is not your deeper blush. It is more of your skin-like blush. So let it sit for some time. Let's see how it appears after 10 to 15 minutes. By that time, why not we jump into some highlighter. So from the same palette, I'm going to be using the highlighter part, and we'll see how it performs. Though I have swatched it once, so I know how it performs, but let's see. Now the MYGLAMM highlighter is very fine. It's like very fine. So when you pick it up with the brush, you may pick up a lot of product. I always feel with this kind of a product, your fingers are the best. So we're going to go in with the finger and start applying the highlighter. Now when I see this highlighter, it is a very rose gold bronzy highlighter, and on my skin it appears more of a blush highlighter. So for my skin tone, this is not the shade I should have gone, but for the blush I went ahead with this palette because all the other blushes seemed very light for my skin tone. Because this also shows very light, very skin like onto my skin. Only I can basically tell you that I have applied a blush. No one else would be able to tell that I have applied a blush because it appears more like my skin like glow. And the highlighter also is deeper for my skin tone. Otherwise the formula is good. I would not say the formula is chunky or glittery. It has really blended in well. To improve the highlighter, let's move on to the new highlighter which I was talking about, which I think we should use it for this look because my highlighter technically doesn't show up onto my skin. So we'll use another new highlighter. So just to make the other highlighter pop up, I'm just going to take my blender and pick up the excess product from here, so that our highlighter doesn't get more chunkier because we are layering too many products here. So for today's look, I was planning to use this highlighter earlier, so today is the day I feel. So I'm using the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish Highlighter in the shade Whisper of Guilt. You can pick up any shade you like. I happen to get this completely free when I happen to buy a lot of things from MAC, and this shade does complement my skin. I already been using this highlighter behind the scenes, and yes, I really like the formula. I have never liked MAC highlighters in the past. I already have one Soft and Gentle which does not work good on me. This one though works really well. For this highlighter, again I felt brush is not the best way. Pick up your finger, just lift your finger, dig in and start applying. So I'm going to go into the pan. This is the shade. It's a very beautiful gold shade which has a nice cool tone going on. So I'm going to go and apply directly onto my skin, and you can see how nicely it glows. Again, this is a highlighter which is, as the name says, Extra Dimension Skin Finish Highlighter. It is not going to sit vaguely onto your skin and make your skin look artificial. It is like a highlighter which you can wear with or without makeup. So a beautiful highlighter, nicely done, and you can see how nicely my skin is glowing within. So yes, this is definitely one of the good highlighters by MAC I have, and yes, this is something which you will also enjoy. Now what I'll do, I'll quickly complete the full face of my makeup, basically do my eyes and be right back. So there you know how I achieved this base right in front of you. Now why not quickly run through every single product I happen to use today, as well as share my thoughts. Should you be buying it or should you be skipping these products? First up, the foundation which I happen to use today, the Flower Beauty Light Illusion SPF 18 All Day Wear Foundation. I'm in the shade, technically not, but I bought the shade Tawny M4. Now frankly speaking, it is not a very inexpensive foundation. It is above 1000 rupees. Secondly, the shade family, I do feel they should have added more shade, or it is just very difficult to pick up a shade for you. Tawny is one of the shades which fall into a category of dark or tan skin tone. So yes, I couldn't get a shade for myself into medium or light skin tone. Otherwise, the formula, if I talk about, not a big fan on, because the formula initially when you put it onto your skin, you start blending, you really like it because you have that nice sheer coverage going on. It's more of your skin like foundation. But as the days passes by, I do feel a lot creasing happens with this foundation. So if you are a person who does not like to set her face with a compact powder or anything, then you may suffer a lot with this foundation because it has a tendency of cracking around your mouth area, underneath your eyes, and yes, you need to constantly do touch-ups on certain specific places. All in all, it is not a long wearing foundation for me. Do I use this foundation a lot? No. I have merely used this foundation because of one major reason, that it creases way faster than any other foundation of mine. But the formula is super light, blends nicely onto the skin. It gives you a sheer coverage, but not something I am excited about, not something which is near to my expectation also. A foundation which you can totally skip because there are way good foundation into an affordable pricing which can give you sheer to medium coverage. Why do you want to spend above 1000 rupees and get a foundation which does not do at all? So yes, this is definitely something you can pass. I do not approve of this product. I personally did not enjoy it. Another one thing which you should always keep in mind, that every product has a pro and a con because every product performs differently on a different skin type. So for me, that foundation is not the best go. Maybe for a dry skin people, they will like this foundation as their everyday foundation because it is dewy. It is not going to dry out your skin. Moving on to another interesting product which I happen to buy from L'Oreal, the L'Oreal Paris Infallible Oil Killer High Coverage Powder. Now, the purpose of me getting this powder was basically use it in summers and humid weather, but since इस पे अच्छा discount था तो मैंने इसे winters में ही खरीद लिया. Now this is definitely one of the right weathers to use it, and today was the day I could use it onto the foundation which is more of a dewy finish and make my face look more matte or maybe more clean. And this powder does it all. Now this powder also have certain shades to choose from, but I still feel you can go wrong with the shade if you pick it up online. So if you can see the shade in the store first and then buy yours, because it is not an inexpensive powder. It is being priced at $7.99, but it will definitely give you a mattifying touch. It does not dry out your skin. It definitely controls the sebum and it gives a little more longevity to your foundation. The foundation which I just wore. You can wear it underneath your eye also, because I did happen to put a concealer, the foundation and then the powder, and my eye has still not creased. But other days when I tried this powder, the other one thing which I noticed, that if I'm not wearing a good foundation underneath, then even my under eye can crease faster. But whenever I put this powder, immediately it just fixes it without leaving too much of a product underneath my eye. Because sometimes ऐसा भी होता है, जब आप ज़्यादा पाउडर लगाते रहते हो आपको एक ashiness दिखने लगती है, and then you do not look pleasant. So before filming this part of this video, I've already done touch up underneath my eye once because of the foundation. So yes, this powder absolutely performs well onto the skin. If you are someone who is combination to oily skin, then only buy it. If you are someone who's dry skin, you can avoid it because it is going to dry out your skin, because the powder is being made in a way, as the name says in bold, oil killer. You understand it is not going to give you any kind of hydration. But for me, it is definitely a good powder and I see myself using a lot. Next up, I happen to use a new bronzer by Rimmel London. Now frankly speaking, I really don't have to say anything. You saw how beautifully the bronzer blended onto my skin. I really like the shade on this. They have, I think, 4 shades in total, and you have a deeper shade than this as well. It is a complete matte bronzer. Talking about the shade 003, it has a nice gray also going on, so you can even have that dimension, or maybe I would say a shadow. And I really like the finish of this bronzer for first time, and I know I'm going to love it. This is fully approved. If you see it online, it is still available on Nykaa. Do not hesitate, grab yours, because जब मैं इसे खरीद रही थी, only 5 were in stock. So I really don't know if it is in stock. If it is and you are looking for an affordable, good quality bronzer, there you have it right in front of you. Another interesting product which I really wanted to work onto my skin. Frankly speaking, when I saw the product for the first time and I swatched it on my hand, I really liked it. But everything comes down to the actual application of the product on the face. That is why I do not believe in hand swatches, because hand swatches look always pretty. So we are talking about the MYGLAM Manish Malhotra blush and highlighter illuminating duo palette, which has a blush as well as a highlighter. Now frankly speaking, the blush is okay. It is going to give you more of a skin like finish, but keep that in mind that you will have an illuminating blush going on. As you can see, the product has settled down. It is already 15 to 20 minutes. I do feel the blush has worn off, though the highlighter, you saw that I had to remove it because it was not of my shade. But the formula is very fine. It is definitely pigmented, but as I always say, if you have glitter in your blushes, they do not stay on the cheeks, and when you add up more matte product onto your skin, it stays like merely for a minute. So yes, I did not like the blush as well as the highlighter for my skin tone, as well as it did not show up the way I wanted them to show onto my skin. You can totally skip this product. It is not an inexpensive product. It is for 1250 or 1250 rupees. I got it in a flat 60% discount on MYGLAM, something which I don't see myself using a lot. I would say I don't see myself reaching out to this product. So yeah, this is not something which you should be investing in, because this is one of the deeper shades I picked up, and they have more lighter versions. So if you're someone who will use this palette more as a highlighter palette, then buy it, but do not assume to get a good blush here. And last but not the least, a product which I absolutely love, I have already been using this product a lot, is the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish Highlighter in the shade Whisper of Guilt. Now please do check out MAC India website as well, because I do feel certain shades are still not available on ICA, and on MAC India website you have more options. Yes, at least I have seen it. So this is a beautiful extra dimension highlighter. The best part about this highlighter compared to the ones I've already used in the past is that it is into a pressed format. It is pressed really hard. So even when you dig in your finger or your brush, you don't have any kind of a kickback. It is not chunky, it is not powdery, and you do not see a lot of product here and there. And when you pick up the product, start placing onto your skin, it just places on the right places. Like wherever you put your finger, you see the product there only. It doesn't flake up and go here and there. So it is a beautiful formula. It justifies the price, and yes, it sits beautifully onto my skin also. It is a perfect shade for all Indian skin tone. So if you are lighter than me, deeper than me, you are just gonna love this shade, because it just sits like your second skin, and it just gives you that nice within glow. So it is definitely a fully approved highlighter, and I really see myself buying more highlighters from MAC, because I was totally disappointed with my first purchase, but this really blew up my mind and I absolutely love it. So there you know what all new products worked out for me, and what are those products which you can completely pass. Not everything is made for us. You have to keep your heads open, mind open. You just cannot be buying every single product available in the market. Though I will be leaving down everything in my description if you are interested in any of the products, but you know how they perform onto my skin type, that is combination to oily. I will be here soon with some more interesting new makeup, some more reviews, some more lipsticks. Consider subscribing if you really love to watching my content. Follow me on my Instagram, and I will be here soon in my next video. Till then, you take care, and I will see you in my next one.